Okay, is this working? Is this any better, guys? Can you guys hear me better? Is this any better? I'm just wondering because I'm testing it out with the new mic. So, because I have no idea if this is does this sound better with this mic? Let me know, guys, if it sounds better. Because no matter what I try, I find the mic just never wants to fucking work. Essentially, like on anything. So, uh, yeah, Brian. Hi, Brian. Hi, Brian. Hi, Matt. You guys, is the mic working okay? Is the mic working a lot better? Audio is going in and out, but does it sound better than before? That's the question I have. Does it sound better than before? Okay. So yeah, hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here. Welcome to another live stream, and welcome to the March of Kong. And yeah, as you guys can see, because a lot of people have been complaining about my microphone sounding like total fucking shit. I decided to use our Rode mic that we use on most of our film productions to essentially just come in here and just do this live stream. So I'm gonna try it out and see if it works a little better. So there's that. But yeah, guys, welcome to the March of Kong, and yeah, we're doing our first live stream of the season of March of Kong, essentially. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, guys. Doing pretty damn good. I recommend getting a new mic, like ton. But that's the thing, like it's not the mic itself. It's honestly, it's my laptop because my laptop's pretty much fucking done. It's a piece of shit. So once I get a new laptop with a better webcam and shit, it's gonna look a lot better. Um, in terms of showing stuff online. So yeah. So anyway, welcome to the March of Kong. I hope you guys have been enjoying some of the new content we've been putting out, commentaries and so on. A few updates before we get started. Talking about the anime betrayals, Jack's laptop. Shut on the laptop! Okay. So a few updates before we get started. One, thank you all so much for watching March of Kong with our commentaries and stuff. That will actually continue tomorrow with a commentary for my confrontation review. And then Friday and Saturday, you will be getting two new bits of bonus material from my Kong remake, which is fantastic. So that's happening, which is a plus. And then there's some other stuff happening next week. There's a ton of videos to go around during the March of Kong. We had plans, actually, in the last few days. We were down in the city for a couple of days, yesterday and today. And we were planning to shoot elements from the new King Kong review. But unfortunately, it is freezing fucking cold out in the city. And it's like minus, like, 5, 10. And we were originally going to shoot a lot of outdoor stuff, but there was no fucking way we could have shot outdoors. It was way too cold. So what we decided to do instead was basically, I went to a local thrift shop. As you can see behind me on my desk there, you can kind of see what's hinting at in terms of the next Kong review. So we're just going to shoot it in here as usual, make it a casual review just here in the main office room. So that's what we're going to be doing. And hopefully you will be seeing that in the next couple of weeks, the King Kong review. So look forward to that. Aside from that, a few promotional things coming in. I will be attending not this weekend, but the following weekend. That will be, what is it? I'm just checking my fucking my calendar. Yeah, from March 15th to the 17th, I'm going to be at Toronto Comic Con. This is at the Metro Toronto Convention Center in Toronto, Canada. I'm going to be there, and a lot of our crew are going to be there. We're going to be filming a few things. So if you guys want to come say hi, if you live in Toronto or if you live in the Canadian area, definitely check us out at March Comic Con. I will also be attending Anime North. This is the anime convention that I look forward to every year. It's from May 23rd to the 26th. I will be there all 4 days, and I will be having a blast there. Anime North is like my favorite convention of all time, next to G-Fest. And don't worry, we are trying to plan G-Fest. But we're just trying to figure out our finances right now because, again, ever since the YouTube controversy, our finances have been a little short. Our stocks pretty much plummeted about 50%, which is not good. So we're just waiting for it to pick back up and so on. My mic's going cuckoo? Okay, yeah, because I'm not too sure. It could be because, again, the audio jack here is fucking terrible. I'm not too sure, but let's see. Vote on this. You guys can hear pretty good, right? You guys can hear pretty good. Oh, come Does it sound okay? Does it at least sound okay? Like, as long as it works. As long as it works, that's all that matters. Because, I mean, I think from now on, I will try to maybe do live streams on my phone. Maybe that would be a little better. But it's probably my laptop that's just having fucking problems. But anyway, so, yeah, so those are pretty much the updates happening at the con. I will probably be doing a convention announcement, private, like its own video, just to let you guys into the know of what's happening or where we're going to be appearing. So yeah, with that said, yeah. So for this live stream, guys, we are going to solely focus. This is a Q&A, but the sole tone and context of the questions are going to be related to our King Kong reviews. As you guys know, we've been doing the King Kong reviews since March 2013. Holy crap, has time gone by. We've produced so far 4 seasons of the show, going through the history of Kong, going through all the different parodies, games, spoofs, rip-offs, sequels, and so on. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever about what goes into the making of the show, or what's your favorite episode, or so on, let us know in the chat, and we will answer them in this Q&A. And we're going to do this for about an hour, so you guys got plenty of time. So, and bear in mind, the rules are try to keep it related to the King Kong reviews as well. Try not to make it solely just requests, because we get a lot of requests for the show about what goes on into the King Kong reviews. So, let's see here. Will I do King Kong versus Godzilla? I've done the 1962 film. I did review that in the first season. I kind of have plans to go back and maybe do a little kind of reissue of that along with King Kong Escapes, because I feel like there's more I could probably talk about with that movie. But in terms of Godzilla versus Kong, yes, that will be a main episode around for season 5 next year. That's one of our biggest priorities, and we want to make it special for you guys because, you know, it's a new Kong movie. So there's that. I believe I did see your review of our own film, Ralph the Big Bad Wolf. I believe I did. So it was not that bad. Have you ever heard of the FDV Productions idea of King Kong? Is that the one with that was like a radio drama that was like a fan fiction read along? Yeah, I'm actually friends with FDV Productions, and I would be totally interested in a film like that. Like, the casting's spot on. Margot Robbie as fucking Anne. Fuck yes. Like, even if Margot Robbie was in a biopic about the making of Kong 76, and she played a young Jessica Lange, perfect fucking casting. Like, that's what I would do, essentially, is with Margot Robbie, because she'd be a great female lead for one of those Kong movies, which is interesting. Let's see. Jack, my favorite episode is when I reviewed the 1996 King Kong. Yeah, that is actually probably one of my personal favorite episodes, because that has been something I've been wanting to discuss since the beginning of the series, and it wasn't until season 3 till I finally was able to talk about it, especially in great detail, especially leading up to that, because you had a whole, it's pretty much, that whole era is like a 4-part series, because you've got the Hammer Kong, you've got the Legend of King Kong, then you've got John Landis's Kong, and then that led up to the 1996 King Kong. And yeah, it's just because when I first discovered what they were planning to do in 96, because, I mean, I still think they could have done it 2005. Like, I still think the 2005 film is a good film. Like, I mean, look at this. Like, I still wear a t-shirt on it. I've watched, like, some of the documentaries on it. Like, if you guys can get the Ultimate Edition Blu-ray of Kong 05, that is the best edition to own of the film. It contains the theatrical extended edition, commentary, all the production diaries, so much other bonus content on there. It's spectacular. If you can get your hands on it, it's relatively priced right now. I think it's about $10. Worth the price, honestly. So when I first discovered that they were going to do it in 96 and they were going to make it like this Indiana Jones kind of adventure movie, and I thought, my opinion pretty much changed from that point. I said, I really think that's what they should have done. They should have gone with a more Indiana Jones or like The Mummy. Like, I mean, even Christian Rivers, who actually just directed, what was that wheel, like, fucking Howl's Moving Castle movie? I even forgot it. More Legends. He stated in the documentaries when he saw The Mummy, he was like, did they read the King Kong script? So, and it was kind of the same script. So the theory goes is that Universal took that Kong script and they converted it into the money. But yeah, I think it would have been a better story. You have different changes to the characters, which are very appropriate. The action scenes are great. The dinosaur sequences are great. And the finale is actually pretty kick-ass. The casting at the time: Robert De Niro, Gary Oldman, Bruce Campbell, George Clooney, Kate Winslet. Like, yes, this is the microphone. It was all perfect casting, and it was all the main reason it was pulled was because of Roland Emmerich's Godzilla, which makes me hate that film even more. Now, I'll give Mighty Joe Young a pass because that's a decent remake. But Godzilla 98 is where I feel like that's where they pulled the plug on that Kong remake, because that movie was so hyped, and then everybody saw it and immediately just dropped out of theaters because everybody hated it, and so Universal felt cold feet, like, oh, what if we make this movie and it doesn't do well? It doesn't help that they didn't have faith in Jackson, because at the time, he had just made The Frighteners, and it flopped, and then the only movies he was known for before that was like these cheesy splatter flicks like fucking Brain Dead and Meet the Feebles and what was it, Heavenly Creatures, and his first film was it Bad Taste? Bad Taste, yeah. So he was known for those. So I just kind of threw the studio off, and it wasn't until Lord of the Rings he was able to prove himself, and they said, you can make this movie now. But I just think they should have kept that script, honestly. Is just honestly my opinion of what they should have done. Can you do King Kong versus Godzilla movie that I was talking about? Is that the one with that was supposed to be in the 90s? A lot of people think I haven't covered that, but I actually did cover that very briefly because there's not much detail about the production. I covered that in my Lost Japanese King Kong Films episode, where I talked about the two, what I called the two Hiroshima Kongs, which were two silent films. There was Wasai King Kongu and King Kong Appears in Edo. Both films were apparently destroyed by the atomic bombs of Hiroshima. So those don't exist. But in terms of like other Kong films, I did mention Kong in the Ebro movie, which ended up being Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, as well as King Kong versus Godzilla, the rematch they were supposed to do in the 90s, but because they couldn't get the rights, they pretty much replaced Kong with King Ghidorah, and that became 1981's Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, which is arguably one of the greatest Godzilla films of all time. And then there was, I believe they tried to do Mecha Kong, and they couldn't get the rights to that, so instead they replaced that with Mecha Godzilla in the follow-up film. But what's interesting about Mecha Godzilla at the time, they were also considering doing Mecha Kong versus Mecha Godzilla. That would be fucking awesome. Come on, you guys would pay to see that shit. That'd be amazing. So yeah, I did discuss that very briefly, Celeste. I did mention that. Why didn't I review your Congress Prometheus fan film for your fan film review season? I kind of had to, like, because unfortunately there are so, bear in mind, guys, there are so many Kong fan films out there, and it's not just like the films I mentioned. There's a lot out there, and they keep coming out. Like, so many people keep producing Kong films. Now, some of them actually come out because they were inspired by my own film, but at the same time, it's like, like, I see a lot of people wanting advice from me on what to do and everything on making their own films. And all I'd say is be prepared to make, like, and also don't expect things to work the way you're envisioning them. Don't have too much over ambition, which is what we had. You got to be well prepared. You got to be well prepped. You got to have storyboards. You got to have a proper budget. And you can't, like, sometimes you can wing it, but sometimes you have to be very well prepared for a film like that. So if you ever go into making your own Kong film, you just got to go in knowing what you're going to be dealing with. It's not going to be a quick shoot. You have to work around people's schedules. You have to, pretty much go with the flow, essentially. And that goes with any film. Look at it, I remember, what was it? There was that live action remake trailer of Akira, which, by the way, I did watch Akira for the first time this weekend, and I was blown away by how visually stunning it was, but the storyline, I was really confused. I was half the time like, what the fuck? But anyway, there was that live action Akira trailer that came out, and that took like 5 years to make. And that's the thing. So, like, when you're making a fan film, you don't have a time slot. I mean, it depends. Like, for example, for me, doing the Star Wars prequels, I have a time slot. I have about a year to put this shit out. But with something like a fan film where you want to put so much effort into it, you're going to take a lot longer. So that's what I would expect. Don't put yourself in a due date. Get it done when it's done and work around people's schedules. It's essentially what I would do. So that would be my advice. So anyway, yeah, like, there are so many other fan films out there. It's insane how many are there. I mean, like, I think, for example, there was, like, fucking, the ones that I get a lot of requests for are a lot of the action figure films. Now, I could maybe do a segment just on action figure fan films, kind of like how I did the Done in 60 Seconds or the Sweden films, because there's just so many of them, and I can only pick my favorites. So maybe Cyclops Animation Studio, if I do a follow-up fan film review where I talk about like the action figure fan films as a separate thing, just for the hell of it, just by popular demand, if there's a heavy request for it, I could discuss it, and I'll take a look at your film and see what went into it. But for now, the fan films arc is pretty much done, and we're going to be moving on to just other little things. But that might be a consideration down the road, man. Yeah, I mean, again, we want to keep this this fan film or this King Kong reviews related. Don't expect too many requests. But in terms of a Let's Talk on Jurassic World 3, that's a possibility. That is a possibility. Hey, Jack, would a King Kong retail... Oh, shit, wow, we got like a fuckload of credits there. Holy shit. Hey, Jack, would a be a good idea? Not sure what you mean by Gonzalez. Oh, excuse me, sorry, just got a little bit of a cough there. Also didn't freak out, but today I talked to Rick Baker about the 70s. Oh, shit, really? How'd you get there, Ralph? Holy crap, that's awesome. Let's see here. What is your favorite Kong comic book? Okay, this is an interesting question because I know down the road I do want to discuss the Kong books because I have a ton of fucking books based on Kong. I think my two personal favorite comics in terms of Kong, there's that, I own the big giant comic book that was made in like the 60s that Merian Cooper pretty much approved of. That's one of my favorite comics, and I have it in really good condition. The other one being probably the Dark Horse adaptation of the Peter Jackson film. It's just a wonderful comic overall. But you know, I mean, a lot of people wonder like if they did 1996, the 96 Kong, how would you want it? I would actually want it as a graphic novel. If they did a graphic novel adaptation of Kong 96, I would read the shit out of that. I know, like it's the equivalent of the DC comics doing the Batman 66 comics, which I enjoy, and they were planning to do a Batman 89 comic book series that take place after Batman Returns and have like Harvey Dent and Two-Face and shit, but they never got around to it. And I'm like, I would have read the shit out of that comic. So I think like any lost production, they should at least make it into a comic book adaptation because at least it's there as a visual experience, essentially. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the Bull T-Rex from Mattel? I don't know because I don't own any of the T-Rexes from Mattel in terms of Jurassic Park. Looks interesting. But again, guys, let's keep it King Kong reviews related. Let's try not to go off subject. I want you to make a King Kong versus Godzilla movie. You know, I mean, people, that's one of the questions I get a lot about my fan film is if I'm going to do a sequel. And the answer is no. That was a one-time experience. But would I ever direct a King Kong versus Godzilla movie? No, because we got that in 2020. Although here's a funny story. This is actually a very funny story. I'll get off topic here. My buddy Mason, who's from Australia, his parents are casting callers. Like they call that casting callers for big productions in Australia. And I was in the middle of a Skype call with them, and I caught his mother on the Skype call, and she knew who I was instantly, and she's like, Jack, why are you not here? Because if you could get here, we would put you on the set of Kong vs. Godzilla immediately. And I was like, one, that is a great offer to be put on the set of a movie like that, but the problem was I can't afford a flight to Australia because it's super expensive. So that was only really a costing because if I had the opportunity, I would. I would have totally been on that movie as a little cameo or something. And if the director knew who I was, I would have been like, oh, dude, come on. But that would have been awesome to be a part of that film. But unfortunately, that didn't come out. There you go. So there's just too many. Be prepared. How do you feel about reviewing Toho Frankenstein films? Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas. I get a lot of requests to get into the Toho kaiju films, and unfortunately, they're just not up my alley because I'm going to stick mostly with Kong. But the thing is, there are other kaiju YouTubers that can do a way better job of that. A few I can name off the top of my head, which you can subscribe to if you go to our channel, friends. Nick Jackson, KPF Kaiju Network, JT is Reborn, what's his name? I can't remember. D-Manzilla, something like that. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot more better YouTubers out there who could review the Godzilla films probably better than I can. I know around November for the 65th anniversary, I might consider breaking the chain and doing something Godzilla related around November. But let's wait and see what my time frame is like. But again, let's keep it calm, guys. Keep it calm. Holy shit, there are just a lot of comments going live. Let's see here. The plot of a Godzilla vs. Kong would have been King Kong would have fallen in love with the scientist who would have turned him into a cyborg by the end of the movie. See, no, like, I don't like that kind of shit with my King Kong movies. Like, King Kong should just be a giant gorilla, nothing more. Like, the lightning stuff I'm fine with, but any mechanical shit on him, just no. That's really dumb. Although, I remember I read a fan fiction of King Kong vs. Godzilla, and it was going to include 85 Godzilla and 76 Kong, and what they were going to do was, it was also going to include Dwan and Jack from 76, and in that she's having PTSD, she still feels bad for Kong, Jack's trying to keep her around and everything. But the thing was that they took some doctor guy took Kong's corpse and like revived it and gave him mechanical kind of stuff on him where he fights Godzilla. I'm like, despite it being completely what the fuck is going on, I was actually intrigued by the story because the guy obviously was a huge fan of both films, Kong 76 and Godzilla 85. And I'm like, I can see this as a story, like as a book essentially. So great fan fiction, by the way, if you can find it. What about the King Kong comic books and books in general? Again, we are planning to do an episode of that down the line. Jack, my other favorite episode is when you reviewed Kong King of the Apes, just like you just turned to a giant gorilla and so it just destroyed the city. Okay, so for those who have not seen my audio commentary on that episode, you guys can check it out on our channel. That whole episode, that was pretty much meant to be the season finale to season 3 because I had basically known about the show for a while, and immediately when the first images came in, I'm like, this looks dumb. This looks so fucking dumb. I'm not interested, but I knew people were going to be constantly asking me about it, so I figured I'd watch the first few episodes. And we watched the first few episodes, and I was already like, I gotta get somebody in here with me to watch this. So I had Brad come in and, help me take notes on jokes. So we watched it, and we realized the first episode was going for way too long. And I checked it, the first episode's an hour-and-a-half movie, so I'm like, yeah, one movie's enough for me. So I watched it, and I hated it. It's one of the worst Kong things I've ever reviewed in general. And it was not the worst movie I've ever seen in general. Like, not at all. There's worse movies. But it is one of the worst Kong-related pieces of material I've ever had a hand in working on. But the whole ending bit, where I turned into a giant were-Kong, it was pretty much planned, I believe, because when I wrote the script, I also wrote it at the same time I did the King Kong video games episode. There's a huge gap in between those. And when I wrote it, because again, by that time in season 3, aside from the Kong reviews, it was the BigJackFilms reviews as well, we were getting into a more story-oriented series. So we basically wanted to bridge the gap where it's like the BigJackFilms reviews and the Kong reviews are essentially the same continuity. They're in the same, genre, except they're just separate review segments. So when I did, so I basically wrote it where the Dark Lord of our series, who, if you follow the show, had implanted the DS chip that I reviewed the Kong on DS game on, with an evil entity where, because I do the whole thing where I rip the game apart like Kong does with the T-Rex jaws. But I do the whole bite the tongue bit from Peter Jackson's remake, but what I did was I took the chip, I bit it, and I swallowed it. Now, I didn't actually swallow the chip, by the way. Bear in mind, I did not actually swallow that chip. But it came out like that. So, because I swallowed it, it activated as an entity that caused me to become what I call a were-Kong. And that led to the whole city scene, and that's probably one of my favorite sequences in the review because it was a lot of good green screen. We took a lot of what we worked on with Kong or fan film and converted it into this, and it was a lot easier this time around. And then, yeah, like, it pretty much went from there, and a lot of people wonder about the were-Kong powers. I am trying to find a way to incorporate it a little bit more, not necessarily turning into a giant gorilla, but incorporating said powers into my character. Is what I am trying to do. So you might see little hints of that later on. But there is in works a whole fan fiction story that is kind of a bridge gap between seasons 3 and 4. That will explain that whole thing of how I'm able to calm down the Wericon powers like the Hulk. So I haven't written anything yet, but I am planning to write something down the road, and I think I might also do sort of a fan trailer for it, like do a promotional trailer, essentially, meaning like it's a trailer, like it's a full visual trailer, but it's just to sell the fanfiction story. So, and then I'll put and then I'll say this story now available on fanfiction.net. Check it out. So I might do that actually, but I don't know when. I've kind of gotten back into writing a little bit, so maybe I'll find some time to do that. Probably around when I'm a little less busy, essentially. So there's that. What are your interviews coming out? The first interview, there's 2 interviews we got planned, guys. The first one will be on March 12th, and that will be with a very special guest who had a hand in a certain ride. I can't say what, but that's the only thing you're going to get from now on, for now. And then our second interview will be the following week on the 19th, hopefully. So, or no, not the 19th, my mistake. That's the day we're doing it. It'll be the 26th. So you'll get a week in between. So, those are the 2 interviews we have. We have plans to maybe do a few more interviews because I really like the idea of the podcast interviews, just discussing certain topics with certain people that have worked in these genres. So it might be something I think a lot of people do enjoy them. So we are actually wanting to continue that even after we wrap up the 2 interviews for Merch of Kong. So those are definitely coming soon, Gavin. You'll have a lot of fun with those. So look forward to that. Any Japanese films I should watch besides Studio Ghibli and Godzilla? Watch Akira. I had a real fun blast with that. I'm trying to think of another Japanese anime. Yeah, that's really all I can think of right now. Watch Akira. But again, let's keep the Kong, guys. Review the King Kong comics books, and we are planning to. Chelsea, we are planning to. Let's see here. Holy shit, we got a lot of people. Here's an interesting idea. A group of V-Rexes versus a pack of Skullcrawlers. Who would win? Ooh, okay, I like that question. I would still vote for the V-Rex, because I still think T-Rexes are cooler. But that's just me. I think they look a lot cooler. If you scale them up to the same size as Kong, they might have a fighting chance. I told him he did an amazing job on the suit, and he said that this was really glad I made the suit. This suit looked... Okay, cool. Yeah, you met Rick Baker, Ralph. That's actually pretty awesome. Send him actually. Did you send if you can send him my my channel and stuff? I'd love to. Oh man, get him to do an interview. Fuck yeah, that'd be fucking amazing. I love Rick Baker. Let's see here. I want to do a crossover episode where you're playing the real Mr. Plinkett. Oh god. Okay. We thought about doing more with Mr. Bootleg Plinkett, who appeared in our review of our own movie. He's voiced by the incredible Thomas Lovekiel. He does amazing voices. He's the voice of the Dark Lord on our show, but we also get him to do the voice of Plinkett. He does it so spot on. In fact, he actually cosplayed Mr. Plinkett at Anime North one year, which was fucking hilarious. And he just ran around to all the Star Wars, all the fucking Star Wars customers like, oh, look at all the fucking Star Wars figures. And yeah, so definitely want to at some point use Mr. Bootleg Plinkett at some point down the road, because I fucking love Plinkett, and his voice is fucking we were literally you know what's funny? I sent Thomas the script to that, the whole narration, and he read it, and he was actually videoing, we were Skyping the script, and he was reading it, and he couldn't stop laughing because a lot of that script I wrote myself. It's fucking hilarious. So he was laughing so hard. So he was telling me dude, this is wow. Really dark. No, you're not late, Eric. We're just having a Q&A discussion on the King Kong reviews, just that. So keep the questions to a minimum. Let's see here. Yeah, Rick Baker's pretty cool. I am a real Mr. Plinkett. But yeah, guys, let's keep it to just Kong-related questions, because I don't want to go off topic too much. But yeah, so we I think what else? What other things I could discuss? You guys, here, I'll throw in something as a question for a set of questions. Yes, Godzilla versus Kong will be popping up in a future review around season 5. But I'll put in a questions for questions. Or no, I'll ask a question for a question. Give me some questions on your thoughts on the Valentine's Day special we did in the last few weeks. If you guys have any questions about that, definitely let us know and we will discuss it. Especially if there's any episodes in general that you guys enjoyed, ask any. And you have any question about certain episodes, let us know in the chat and we'll answer them. Have you noticed that Kong Skull Island and King of the Lost World have similar things in them? Yeah, I have noticed that, and Kong Skull Island is the better film. But I do find, and it's also more of a Jurassic Park 3 ripoff, essentially. But yeah, so, yeah, any questions about our episodes, we'll fill you in for you guys, especially the Valentine's Day special, because I loved the reception that got, like, the fucking, the reviews and stuff that people had about that Valentine's Day special, which was hilarious. That was a really fun shoot to do. Really great to get that off our chest, essentially. But yeah, like, if you guys have any questions about that, let us know. For Valentine's Day next year, can you review the Beauty and the Beast? Okay, I thought about doing something with that in general, doing another Valentine's Day special. And if anything, it would be a let's talk on the Beauty and the Beast genre as a whole. And it's not just discussing Kong; it's discussing all the adaptations of Beauty and the Beast, Edward Scissorhands. But it would just be a let's talk, just kind of discussing the genre as a whole and how it's changed over the years of cinema. That would be an idea I would like to do at some point. It's on our to-do list for sure. I love part 2, how you set up the next episode. Yeah, and actually, funny story, I already explained this in the live stream, but we were out in Toronto for a couple of days, the last few days, and we were planning to shoot a few segments for the episode. But unfortunately, it's just way too fucking cold outside. It's still like -10 here in Canada. So instead, we're just going to shoot it here in the basic set and make it look nice and maybe have a little stinger at the end. But that's all you're going to know about the episode. But that should be coming out, I think. When is that scheduled? It's scheduled in the next. It's scheduled at the very end of the month. It'll pretty much be the last episode, the last video of March of Kong. What's Kong in your childhood? Okay, that's an interesting question in terms of Kong in my childhood. Because here's the thing, King Kong didn't really resonate with me as my favorite series of films until the Peter Jackson movie came out. But prior to that, I remember really, like, for me, Kong, the first time I ever saw the original Kong was my uncles had brought in a bunch of VHS movies we watched, and I was maybe about 3 or 5 years old. And we watched Jaws 1, Jaws 2, which scared the shit out of me. We watched the original King Kong 1933, and then right after, King Kong Lives. And that was my first exposure to the 76 remake. But the thing is, like, when I watched King Kong Lives, I thought it was sort of a more what-if story, which it still kind of is for me with King Kong Lives. It's more of a what-if. Like, what if Kong survived his fall? And that's what I can take it as. Not as a sequel, just a what-if. Like, one of those what-if theories that are out there on YouTube with every single franchise. So, that's essentially how I saw it. And I liked it. I thought it was fun. As a kid, you know, just enthusiastic about movies. Really, the second big-time Kong made an impact for me was in 1998 when I visited Universal Studios Florida for the first time. And at the time, it was still the golden age of the park. And at the time, basically, you know, I experienced, it not only got me fascinated with filmmaking, I think, like, because 98, I went to Universal, and I just loved the idea of making movies. I just loved that whole environment. But the following year, I started making my first films about 20 years ago. Holy crap. And yeah, we're planning something for that down the line. But I started making my own films in 1999 when I was about, I want to say 8 years old. I started making movies. So that was me. And then, but when I went on Confrontation for the first time, it looked real. It looked great. It felt like I was like in a film. I felt like I was a part of this adventure. And at the time, it was right when they did the bit of an upgrade or a bit of a downgrade, depending on how you see it, where they had to have the Kong animatronics limit their movements, and the lighting changed from like kind of more of a red fire to like a more purple blue kind of lighting environment. So I remember the blue lighting environment, and I remember the first time, like, yeah, you're on the train, it's like, oh no, what's Kong? And for some reason, I saw Kong like this, you know, just like kind of like this, but nowadays I see him and, you know, he's hanging on like this, or he's just like this, and so on, like with the animatronics. So I remember going on that, and it scared the shit out of me. It really scared the shit out of me. It was just the environment. I remember how hot it was because of the fire effects. It was pretty crazy. And what also scared the crap out of me it actually, like, as much as I love Safari Outfitters, thinking about it, as much as I love Safari Outfitters at the time, I actually was scared of that Kong bust. And then the second time I went was in 2000, and I did, again, I kind of liked it a little bit more. So I got to ride it twice, so thank God, essentially for me. So, really my Kong fanboy fanatic shit didn't really reach its peak until the Peter Jackson film. I heard announcements he was making it. I had just got off my Lord of the Rings kick. Like, I was huge into Lord of the Rings. It got me into fantasy films. I cited Peter Jackson as now one of my favorite filmmakers, so I was hyped the fact he was going to make King Kong. And then, obviously, then I went ahead and watched, obviously, all the documentaries. I actually rented King Kong on VHS to get prior knowledge. And I saw the Peter Jackson film in theaters. I thought it was fantastic. And then I started watching the DVDs, and I got into watching documentary making of features, and I was just hooked ever since. Just, it's not just the films themselves; it's just the fact that what went on during the making of the films is also what fascinated me, and it really sparked my interest in filmmaking. So, to answer your question, Stephen, about my childhood in Kong, that's pretty much where it stems: seeing it for the first time on VHS and seeing the ride at Universal Studios. So that's just me. Okay, let's see here. We had a couple of questions really come up here. Let's see here. What made you want to put a cameo of Kagome in the review of your Kong film? That was just pretty much a joke I just put in just for that, kind of at the last minute in post-production. The reason for it was because when I was writing that script for my Kong remake, I did base her solely on sort of that Japanese schoolgirl kind of like look as well as personality, and the personality I took the most was Kagome. So I obviously had to make that joke in my review, so that's why she shows up in there. I thought the Valentine's Day episode, Eric Bauer, I thought the Valentine's Day special was funny, but oh boy, the whole 18 thing, but at least it's the afterglow. Apologies if I'm late on my reply. Okay, so here, I'm finally going to break down and discuss this. So, a lot of people had questions about that ending to part 1 and beginning of part 2, and how the hell we got that. What really resonated with me about the episode was just the fact we were making this solely for the purpose of getting a reaction from people, especially with the ending of part 1 and the beginning of part 2. And the way that went around was, one, the reception was great, just seeing you guys comment, laughing your asses off, thinking, like, the whole me going, the fact that that's now a meme, like, that's a meme now, like, oh, finally, like, once you're a meme, you're famous, essentially. So, for me, that was great. Even, like, I got Eric, to react to it. I got Heron, who's one of our Rice Duke on YouTube, who just did a trailer reaction to the new Game of Thrones season. Go check that out. But, he sent me a reaction picture, and once he saw the ending of part 1 and saw part 2, he sent me a picture of just him going, and it's just like, what the fuck, right? So then he calls me up, and I'm talking to him. He's like, so what'd you think of the review? And he said, first of all, I want to say that I hate you. I hate the website. I hate the fans. Now, he didn't say it mean-spiritedly. He said it in sort of a complimentary way, like he was just kind of jelly. The funniest reaction was fucking Nick Jackson. We had a live stream where I showed him the episode early. And once 18 entered the door, he was like drinking. He was just like, right? Like, he was completely shocked. He had to pause the video and walk out the room for 5 solid minutes just so he could process that. So basically, it was all about the reaction from people. It was probably one of the most risque things I've ever done on my channel. And obviously, part 2 did get age restricted, so it's also our first R-rated video, which is funny, even though we shot it like a PG-13 Austin Powers movie. But the way that episode went about, I knew I wanted to do something with something special, like, because the whole thing with 18 in the show is that you can only use so much animation and so much voice work. Like, I was getting to the point where the voice recordings, the raw material of Meredith McCoy I was running out. So I knew I had to start looking for actual voice actors who could do an impression of that character. So the two I work with the most are Queen 18 and Bay Teen. And they're like really great voice actresses for Android 18. If you want to do a fan series, definitely look them up. But they were doing it quite well. But again, animation was so limited because I could only use so much. I had to get Mason to take some animation, like masking out, because you can't find really any Android 18 masking animation. You have to do it all yourself. So it was quite a challenge. So I figured at some point, I'm like, you know what? I can only do this for so long. I'm going to start actually hiring cosplayers and people who can wear the costumes and act like professional actors. So normally when I work with actors on any production, on any of our videos, I mostly seek out cosplayers because if they have the costume, you're pretty much saving a fuck ton of money. So, but if they have the costume and can act the character, it's like, wow, you've pretty much got it there. So I kind of did some hunting. I kind of did look around for some people who might be interested. I had a few turn down the offer because they just couldn't really make it and they didn't have the time to. I had one in particular who was really interested, but again, timing, she was doing a lot of jobs and stuff, so she couldn't help out. So I went to a con at the Japanese Cultural Center in January. I think it was like, I can't remember, like Cassini-con or something like that. And I went there and I met this girl who has her own cosplay page, Battle Alone, I think it is. She's on Instagram. We started talking. She was in the 18 cosplay, and the only thing she didn't have was obviously the wig. So she had her natural hair, which is beautiful, by the way. So we just started chatting, and we just started talking, and just all geeking out and shit. And I gave her my card to say, hey, check out my stuff. So we started becoming friends. We started chatting, and at kind of the 11th hour, I was kind of running out of options. I said, hey, out of curiosity, would you be interested in being Android 18 in some of our videos? And she's like, yeah, sure. So I send her the script, and this was my biggest fear because of the context of the script. I was really scared she was going to turn it down, especially given how Hollywood is, like a lot of film business is changing nowadays. But luckily, she actually said the script is fucking hilarious. And I was like really taken back because I was completely off guard. I was expecting the worst. And she was like, because I was expecting her to say, we need to change the script. This is not appropriate. I'm like, but she was okay with it. I'm like, oh shit. So, yeah, basically, we filmed, like, basically she came up, we filmed, like, I had an interview with her, great, and she's, like, one of my favorite actors to work with now, one of my favorite people to work with on anything, so she's wanting to get a YouTube channel started, she's wanting to get Twitter and social media, she's wanting to get more followers, and I'm helping her out however I can, so, if she's ever wanting to start up a YouTube channel, you're damn right she's going to be part of our channel friends list, and I'll be posting on the website. So, we shot this. It was very professional. It was very professional work, and we got it done. Bradley was here doing some camera work, and we filmed it, and it came out pretty damn well. And I was really surprised how like professional it was. And yeah, so like for anybody wondering if it like shit went down, answer is no. It was all meant. It was all scripted. It was all planned. And it was basically, and that's the whole thing when you're shooting a scene like that. Especially for YouTube, you have to shoot it like as a PG-13. You can't show any of that shit, like because then you're gonna get flagged and demonetized. So we basically shot it as a PG-13. I think this might sound weird, but one of my biggest inspirations for doing this two-part episode was one of my favorite reviewers that I really enjoy. Kind of still do. He hasn't done much because shit went down with him. Is Noel Antwider, aka Spoonie. I love Spoonie. I think Spoonie's fucking hilarious. And he did a series that's kind of controversial, but also very kind of racy. It's called Spooning with Spoonie, where he just like be in a house like a bathrobe, and he would be laying in bed with like two chicks and making all these funny jokes. And he did one with Nostalgia Critic and Angry Joe and Ben at the Stage, which is fucking hilarious. If you can track these down, they're fucking hilarious. But basically, yeah, we shot this scene, and the whole goal was to shoot it like an Austin Powers film. Like that's the way you go about it, especially if you want to let it be still available for YouTube. So we put it out the first part, people loved it, and then we put out part two, and it got age restricted immediately. Even though like all the content I made sure was heavily censored and heavily cut, we still got dinged, but it's still monetized. You know, thank goodness. But that's how that whole Valentine's Day special pretty much went down. it was just, kind of last minute deal. We just shot it, and it came out really damn well. And I'm overall pretty proud with those set of episodes we did. So, and again, thank you all for watching those, because those actually came out really successful. Like they're not as successful as previous episodes, but they were still a hit for us, thankfully. So, there's the story about how that all went down. Let's see here. It's like, and that's how I saved Christmas. Let's see here. We did the 18th then, so we answered that question. Going back to the Beauty and the Beast genre in terms of an episode, for Valentine's Day, possibly next year. We do want to do that. Phantom of the Opera will definitely be one as well. We will definitely do that. What about the King Kong live spin-off cartoon? You mean like the live-action series that the CW or something's planning? Is that still in the works? Because last time I checked with Kaiju Network, it's been kind of off and on. Essentially, I'm not too sure how it's all going down. Jack Fred in the house. Hi, Jack. Sorry we're late on this. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If it's like the live spin-off cartoon, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by live spin-off cartoon. Is it live action or is it animation? It's hard to tell. Okay, here's a good question by Brock. Would I rather watch the King Kong show, Kong the Animated Series, or Kong King of the Apes? That's tough. All are equally fucking garbage. The King Kong show is just boring. It's terrible animation. I know it's one of the first early ones by Toei, but it's just not my thing. I don't even own the DVDs, although I would like to own the 2 DVDs of the show, just to add it to my collection. But, maybe. Like, I don't know. Kong, see, the only one I can kind of appreciate is Kong the Animated Series. One, because it has some of my favorite voice actors in the business, and it was also done in Canada, which is cool. Why does the Canada King Kong always get like the shitty ones? Like we get the animated series and we get that Yeti movie. But Kong King of the Apes was just so cringy and insultingly bad that I'd rather watch Kong the Animated Series. That's probably the one I would watch the most. I do know that there is a couple video games based on the series, and I intended to do that as a review. There are a couple of Game Boy games, but I might, who knows? Like, that's pretty much what I would do. Remaster of my old episodes. Okay, that's an interesting question, because I know a lot of reviewers like to go back to their early works and fix them up and make them look better, sometimes do a revisit of certain things, like the Nerd did. That's probably not me. If anything, if I'm going to revisit something, it will mostly likely be a reissue as part of the Let's Talk series. So I'll be more of a little in-ground, like I'll still say this is my opinion, but here's a few extra facts for you guys. But in terms of going back and revisiting my old videos, probably not. They are what they are as they were released. I don't like to go back and George Lucas the shit out of it, where I add a bunch of digital shit and add it, make it look more quality. I just like them the way they were originally released. Because it just shows like my evolution as a filmmaker and as a YouTuber, essentially. What dinosaur scares were in the King Kong video games? I know probably the scariest Kong game was the Peter Jackson video game. I had a ball playing it. It is by far the best Kong game, but it is a pretty scary game because it is a survival game, essentially. What if the creators of Kong and Peter Jackson was related to you? That'd be amazing. I doubt it. But that's the thing. Like, if Peter Jackson ever saw my content and he was like, "You want to come down and check out the place?" I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, we are doing this." Like, I don't know how I'd afford it, but I would fucking do it. Even if I had to stow away in a plane to New Zealand, I'd probably go do it. But that'd be great. In the future, do you want another Kong remake? Yes, and I will direct it. And not only that, I will adapt the 96 draft. That is my big goal as a filmmaker, is to basically do a big budget remake of that 96 draft. That's what I would essentially do. So, Jack, how about that Michael Bay remake of Kong? Okay. You know that's not a thing. I know you guys are just pulling my leg. There is no Michael Bay Kong movie. That even if he did, I would not allow him to touch that shit. Fun fact, Jack: the Skullcrawlers of Skull Island were not based on the original. They were based on some anime character, not the director was inspired by. Really, I didn't know that. Like, was it based on a Miyazaki thing? I think it was called, because I know Jordan Dog Roberts is a huge anime fan. loves Hayao Miyazaki movies. He loves Evangelion, which is like, we just got to lead a Battle Angel. Let's get him on an Evangelion movie. James Roberts. Man, that would be great to do an interview with him because I think he's just a very down to earth, chill filmmaker. But there's a part of me who would love to interview Jordan Vogt Roberts and discuss Kong with him because I think he and I would get along pretty damn well. What is the Nick Jackson Valentine's Day special video? It wasn't a video. It was a live Skype call that me and him just did personally, and I don't have any footage to prove that, although I do have pictures of his reaction. I did keep those just for a little giggle for me once in a while. Kong from Kong Skull Island looks nothing like a girl. He looks like Bigfoot. No, they were going more for the original King Kong's design, which I can totally see, but they just bulk him up to Godzilla size. Okay, yeah, Cuba on the third angel from Evangelion, and okay, that would make sense. But I still think that they're based. Part of it was based on the two-legged lizards from the original Kong. Hey, Jack, I love the reference to Ducky from Land Before Time in that review. Yeah, okay. That was something we actually joked about when we were making the film because we went through so many iterations of what the sea monster would be. We thought an Elasmosaurus, we thought a sea creature, but then we started with the Parasaurolophus as a tribute to the Legend of King Kong script, and that's when that line came in where it's like, yep, motherfucker! I love that. Like, I've always, anytime I can reference a movie that people understand where it comes from, it's fucking great. Let's see. Oh, God. God, we're getting so many questions right now. Let's see here. Jesus Christ. Not much Zilla Universe. We're just doing a Q&A on the King Kong reviews, essentially. Say real. Hey Jack, what if you thought? Okay, Bird Box Challenge was stupid. Wait till you hear about the moment. Okay, you know what? All these controversies on YouTube, all these challenges. I'm sorry, Zilla Universe. I don't care. I ignore that like the plague. Essentially. Yeah, Kong the animated series. Out of all the animated Kong shows, I think that is the better one. Honestly, like, I think like they still remain like respectful to the original material. The voice actors, David Kay, Kirby Murrow, Scott McNeil, all great Canadian voice actors. They're fantastic. It's overall the better series, in my opinion. Let's see here. Hey, Jack, I've done a Kong reference in my Jurassic Park fan film with dinosaurs stampede with duck-billed dinosaurs and baryonyxes in the swamp reference. That actually sounds pretty cool. Okay, now I'm getting interested in the Action Dinosaur 101. That actually sounds pretty kick-ass. Let's see here. Holy shit, we're getting like a lot of people in the comments right now. Yeah, there are parts in the game, Eric Bauer, where you do get stuck in the Peter Jackson game. I mean, I had that from experience. Some of the controls were not that good, but they were still pretty good. Yeah, guys, go subscribe to Any Action Dinosaur 101. He's been a real supporter of the channel. He could really use the help, man. Like, any support for him would be great. What if someone remade the 76 Kong but put dinosaurs in it? I'd be all over that 100%. See, the thing is with remaking a remake, especially something like Kong 76, is, if anything, if I were to see something like that, I would want to see a biopic on the making of the film. Because I read the little pocket book, The Creation of Dino De Laurentiis' King Kong, and I was really fascinated with what went on during the making of the film. That alone is worth a film. So if I did, say, a biopic on Dino De Laurentiis, I would love to, like, recreate everything they did from that film, and all practical. So the animatronic Kong, the Rick Baker suit. Like, I would love to recreate all that and cast it perfectly. The question is I have for you guys, who would you want to play certain actual people from the making of that film? Like, who would you want to play Dino De Laurentiis? Who would you want to play John Gullerman? Who would you want? Actually, you know what? John Gullerman? This may sound weird. I'd want Benedict Cumberbatch playing that. I think he'd be pretty good at that. But like something like Dino De Laurentiis, or like Colonel Rambaldi, who would play those like actors nowadays who'd be good at playing specific roles, essentially. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide that. Let's see here. Avoid it like a herpes-ridden hooker. Okay, Brian, I like that. That's a good version. So that's a good suggestion. Hi, Ethan. Yeah, good to see you. Okay, so we're at the 5 minute mark of this panel. So we're going to answer 3 more questions, and we're going to keep them specifically to the con reviews. If you have any questions about the con reviews, episodes, what went on behind the scenes, we have time for 3 more questions, and we're going to wrap this up. But if you guys have any, of course, have any more questions, if you have any more, if you want to send us support, gifts, and so on, and you want to send them through writing, send it to this address at BigJackFilms, P.O. Box 326, Queensville, Ontario, L0G1R0. We love to receive fan letters. We love to receive gifts. We love to receive donations. Any help to the channel is great. And also, you can also support this channel by link down below to our Patreon page. $1 or more will get you early access to all of our content and a lot of other rewards for helping the channel. So check those out as a little plug-in. Okay, so the first question I have is from Brock McGinnis. Says, "What is my favorite con review?" That's a good question, because I think if I were to narrow down the top 3 for me, I love my Con King the Apes episode just because of the amount of jokes and time I put in. I love the 96 one. I think the 96 episode is one of my personal favorites, and then obviously my 76 remake, because being one of the biggest defenders of that film, I think I have really changed a lot of people's minds about it, because ever since the Peter Jackson remake, people have bashed both 76 and King Kong Lives. It's the equivalent of bashing Batman Forever with Batman and Robin. But it's like, that's the thing, they're all separate films, and on their own, like the 76 remake, I love to death. And I'm glad that it's actually turned people around. Like my review, I got a lot of feedback, see people saying, your review actually completely changed my opinion about the film, and I love it. I'm like, thank you. I love giving awareness to that film, and I'm still waiting for that goddamn Blu-ray here in America and Canada, essentially. Let's see here. Okay, second question. Okay, this is just a side question. This won't count, but it's like, after reviewing Batman Forever 1995, will you ever review Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds? Please, I'd love to see you review them. Okay, so a while back when Dark Knight Rises came out, I did review the Batman movies, and they're not the best videos, guys, and I'm planning to maybe do something with that down the line. But basically, in terms of The Birds, I'd love to review some Hitchcock movies. It just depends on my timing and when I'm able to do it. But The Bird, like, to name my favorite Hitchcock movies, The Bird, Psycho, Strangers on the Train, Vertigo, and The Man Who Knew Too Much. Those are my favorite Hitchcock movies. So there you go. That might be something to do. Let's see. Have you heard anything new from the Kessler King Kong prequel? No, I know they just put out a trailer. I know it's almost done, but it's definitely something I do want to review once it comes out. I will definitely take a look at it and review it. It's something that's been on my radar for years. So, okay, so let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, this is the last question we're going to answer, and this is from Jackfruit Channel. It's more of a suggestion. What do you think of a Kong remake with Chris Pratt, Leo DiCaprio, and Nicole Kidman? Okay, Chris Pratt I can maybe see as the Jack Driscoll type. Leonardo DiCaprio, actually, I could see as Carl Denham. That would be interesting, as like a Carl Denham kind of character. Nicole Kidman is no, she's way too old to play that part. No offense, I love Nicole Kidman. I love her. She's an amazing actress, fucking beautiful. Like in the 90s, maybe, but now, no. You'd have to give that shit to someone like a Margot Robbie or something like that. That's the only way you could really do that, is get Margot Robbie or some young actress to play Anne, is essentially what I would like to see. But that's interesting. Actually, no, Jackford Channel. Did the Dino De Laurentiis biopic about the making of Con 76. Chris Pratt is a young Jeff Bridges, Leo DiCaprio is a young Charles Grodin, and Margot Robbie is a young Jessica Lange. Boom, there's your making a remake of Con 76 right there, essentially. So yeah, guys, that's it for this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in and asking questions about the show. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, you will see an audio commentary on my review of Confrontation. There will be 2 new bonus videos, Friday and Saturday, from my own remake. And there are a ton of videos to come in during the March of Kong. We've got a lot of exciting stuff happening. So Of course, if you have any more questions, let us know in the comment section below. If you would like to support this channel, go down below to our Patreon page. Just $1 or more will give you early access to all of our content, as well as a bunch of extra features. Check it out, and just donate however you can. But if you would like to donate personally through like a fan letter or donations or whatnot, you can send it to this address at BigJackFilms, PO Box 326, Queensville, Ontario, L0G1R0, and we'd love to get support and hear from you guys through fan letters. So yeah, guys, until the next video, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing off, and keep enjoying the March of Kong because we got a ton more videos coming out. So until then, take care.